And tonight,
they're speaking.
And
we love them.
Booyah! Hello guys. I know that you hear a lot that you can't see up here, but listen, you really can't see anything up here. Okay, hi guys, I'm Bailey. So I have a pretty crazy story specifically of the last 6 years. So to start it all out, I moved a lot whenever I was a kid, like once every 18 months type of thing. And I was lucky enough that my parents let me stay at the same school from kinder until 8th grade. I also went to a very, very, very small private school where I pretty much had a class with the exact same 10 people for 8 years straight. So that means, they got to know me, I got to know them very, very well. So let's go back to 2016. Leonardo DiCaprio wins his Oscar. Woo! The Broncos beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl. This crazy virus called Zika has its first case. I wonder if it's gonna go crazy. And then Taylor Swift won Album of the Year at the Grammys with 1989. I was dominating some cheer competitions. I placed first in state and went on to win nationals at the end of February. After nationals, I was flying back home and I was on cloud 9. I thought I was the coolest cat there ever was because I won nationals. And I had all these people congratulating me, and that was amazing. March 1st, 2016. I had a good day at school. After school, my sister took me home immediately. And whenever we got inside, my mother was crying. She told me and my siblings that our cousin Ezra had died. Ezra was 15 months old and incredibly healthy. He died from sudden unexpected death in childhood. Autopsy never knew why this little boy had died. And at 15 years old, actually I was 14, that rocked my world. I had never experienced death so close to my family. Why would God take away this baby? I became incredibly mad at God. As I grieved Ezra's death, I was also in the process of moving schools. So let me just take out all of this grief that I have and hide it so that I can go make new friends. And I moved schools. So cheer has been a huge part in my life. I've been cheering since I was about 7 years old. So I decided to join the cheer team at this new school. And there was this girl on the team. I'm not gonna lie, she's a little weird. You guys might know her. Her name is Madeline. She goes to school here if you don't know. And she takes me under her wing, and she lets me be her friend. So I start at my new school, I start high school, and I cry the very first day. All through first period, like bawling my eyes out, because I knew absolutely no one. And since it was a Christian school, I had to memorize passages of scripture. The first passage that I memorized was 2 Corinthians 4:16 through 18. And that says, "Therefore we do not lose heart, but though our outer man is decaying, our inner man is being renewed day by day. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison. While we look not at the things which are seen, but the things which are unseen, because the things that are seen are temporary, and the things that are unseen are eternal." I needed to hear that in that moment. I need not to look at the things which are in front of me, and I need to trust that God has a plan. And I really needed to do that. So Madeline continued helping me through my grieving process, mainly just by being a person that has their life together, because I did not. So let's fast forward a year and a half. It's May of 2018. Woo! I'm finishing up my sophomore year of high school. I'm living my best life. I've gotten through my grief of Ezra. So it's a Friday, and as usual, we're running late for school. My mom is yelling at us to hurry up, and I'm ready, so I just go out to the car. Next thing I know, I hear a loud bang, and my brother starts crying. Now, we both inherit clumsiness from our mother, and he was 12. He's dramatic, so I just shrug it off and head out to the car. My mom comes out a few minutes later saying, my father is just gonna handle it, we're just gonna go to school. So it's graduation day, and that means I have a whole bunch of jobs, so much so that I'm not done until midnight. So it's midnight, and my mom picks me up, and I could tell she had been crying. Turns out Kason, my little brother, had fallen and dislocated his hip and broke his growth plate in his femur. So the first thing my mind goes to is the game that Kason had been playing since he was 6 years old, football. Kason was bound to play in the NFL. And I'm not just saying that because he's my brother. He was awesome. And whenever they asked the doctors what would happen, what this would mean for football, the doctor said, we're talking about Kason walking again, not playing football. That broke my heart again, because why would God do this to a 12-year-old after taking away his cousin? Why? So Kason got surgery. His 2-hour surgery lasted 28 minutes. And he spent the entire summer sitting in one chair, relying on everyone around him to help him. During this time, my dad had an extreme PTSD episode and had to stay in a facility for 2 weeks. So, I'm just, why God? Why? So, I take care of my brother, and after 6 long weeks of being in a wheelchair and relying on his awesome sister, we go to the doctor. Now, I'm just gonna remind you guys, the doctor said that Kason would never walk again. Most likely never walk again. The doctor said that he could play football that very same week. He went from not being able to walk to playing full contact football. He plays center, which is very much in your hips. Like, you have to get down, it's crazy. You fall down a lot onto your hip. And my brother could do it again. Talk about trusting God. So that next month, I'm getting ready to go into my first period class. And my mom pulls me into my superintendent's office. Okay. She starts crying, and I'm like, great, what's happened this time? Turns out, my small group leader from 6th grade at church committed suicide. She was one of my dearest friends. She was a mentor for me. I was incredibly close to her. I kept on asking why. No one had any answers, so I just had to keep on thinking of 2 Corinthians 4:18, things unseen, things unseen. Let's just trust God. 2 months later, one of my classmates also took her life. She was my age, so that kind of hit more close to home, even though we weren't very close. I was like, this could happen to me. If this could happen to a seemingly happy girl, this could happen to me. 1 month later, I get pulled out of school because I let my grades plummet, because I decided I wanted to be some cool kid that took all AP classes. I'm not an AP student, I'm not gonna lie. So my mom said, we're not paying for you to be failing. So she took me out of my nice little private school, my little cushioning, and put me in public school. And moved halfway through my junior year, and unknowingly to me, I was so far behind, like chapters and chapters and chapters. So there was no way for me to catch up. During this time, I meet one of my best friends, Jessica, and my mom and dad separate. My mom and dad get into a huge fight, my dad leaves. So my mom sits me down in June and says, hey, you're either gonna spend your senior year in homeschooled or you get your GED. My mom and I we're not the best whenever it comes to schooling. We always get into fights whenever she tries to help me. So she said, either I'm gonna be your teacher or, you're gonna get your GED. So I get my GED and I lose all form of self-worth. I hate myself. I just don't like it at all. So I just start working, which is great because I'm making money, but I do not like myself, and I'm just retreated into myself, and I don't like it. So my mom was the cheer coach at my old school, and she says, "Hey Bailey, you want to come be a coach at camp with me?" I was like, "Sure, sounds great." So it was a Christian cheer camp, and they played a song called "Control" by 10th Avenue North. The second verse says, "I've had plans, shattered and broken, things I've hoped in fall through my hands. You have plans to redeem and restore me. You're behind and before me. Oh, help me believe." Okay. So God, I know that you want me to trust in you, but things aren't going my way. I just need to trust God. So after camp, I go back to work. Whoa. I live with my dad now, and because of his work schedule, I don't see him ever. So that means that it is just me and my dogs, Benny and Wesley. Those are my only two forms of interaction besides work. I get off of work, I come home to my dogs, and that's it. And in November, I get the privilege of meeting the members of my favorite band, 5 Seconds of Summer. I met them, it was amazing, I cried. Woo. So in January, I volunteered at my church's youth retreat, and that was great. A lot of lives got led to Christ. Heck yeah. So they played this song called "Another in the Fire" by Hillsong United. I don't know if y'all know this song, but whenever I first heard it, I bawled my eyes out. The chorus says, "There was another in the fire standing next to me. There was another in the waters holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there is the cross that holds the burden where another died for me." Wowza. That reminded me that he is in fact with me. He's not just with me, he's wanting me to trust him. So I trust him, and I get a job at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I'm so cool. And 1 month into that, COVID hits, so I lost my job. Whoa. But luckily, I got a job working at Domino's Pizza. And my dad started working as a relief worker. So that meant I was actually living by myself completely. I did not see a single soul outside of work from April to August, pretty much. I would just go to work, come home to my dogs. My mom, and actually all of my family, did not know this. None of them knew that I was living by myself. None of them knew. I didn't tell them for some reason. So they didn't know until August when, as I'm leaving my cousin's house, I get T-boned. And I total my truck. And my mom comes back the next day and is like, why didn't you tell me that you were living by yourself? I was like, I don't know. And then my dad, with perfect, amazing, awesome timing, serves my mom divorce papers. Not even 24 hours after I got into a car accident. Whoa. Let's go, God. Let's go. Let me just trust in him for a little bit longer. So, I decided that I was actually going to go back to school. I took a year off. Let me just go back to school. I'm not doing anything better. It's the middle of a pandemic. Let me go back to school. And I went through my first semester fairly well. But I was also being pulled into the middle of a divorce by both sides because my mom and dad did not want to talk to each other. So let's just talk to the one that lives with her dad. Great, woo. So I decided to take my spring semester off. And I decided that 2021 was going to be my year. I was just going to trust God. I laid it all down. I'm going to trust him. So my parents settled their divorce. And my mom took us on a celebratory trip to Florida and Disney World. Woo! Divorce. Let's go to Disney World. So I'm deciding to get my life back together. And I decide I'm gonna work at a summer camp because that's so much fun. And I started applying to them, and while I love Texas, I'm from Texas, while I love it so much, I don't like the Texas heat in the summer. So I actually got a job in New York. Woo. And I got to meet some amazing people. I got to meet international students. It was awesome. But there were troubles. We were understaffed because of COVID. People were getting fired because they were being stupid. And then people were quitting because their friends were getting fired. And we also had a massive COVID outbreak, so much so that we got put in the New York Times. I'm famous, y'all. I'm in the New York Times. So, we persevere. It's the end of camp. That's amazing. So then I'm on the phone with my friend Madeline's mom. She's like, hey, you should probably go back to school. You've been out for about a semester, you should probably go back. She said, you should go to the school that Madeline's going to. I was like, okay, sure. Like, why not? So I pray about it, and I call my mom. Well, she's not the happiest that I'm gonna go to school in Oklahoma, because we're from Texas. We're like born and raised not to like Oklahoma. Sorry. But she says, and I'm gonna quote this, so you do not think that it's me. I quote to my mother when I say, maybe one of my daughters will make my dreams come true. Come out with an MRS degree. Thanks, Mom. So my mom, in all her glory, fills out my applications, gets everything done that I need to do. And then after so many plane delays, I arrive in Oklahoma City. Like day 2 of NSRA, I only go to 2 events. I go to Siren and Southern Supper. It's so much fun. And I get to room with my best friend. And I joined the cheer team. And I just continue to trust God, and I know that life isn't gonna be perfect. Life hasn't been perfect since I've been here. But I'm still trusting him. And that's all that matters.